Guys, thanks for being here. I've got to get a little paint out of the old box down here, and we have to get our canvas nice and quick. So, you guys check in. Let me know where you're watching from. Let me grab this paint real fast. You wonder why Josh is never ready when the show starts. Like, he got all day to prepare and get ready. But no. I like to wait until the very end. Until the very end, you guys. So, you let me know where you're watching from. I'm going to tell you what I've got so far going on my 20 by 20 inch perfect square of a canvas, okay? You don't have to have the same exact size canvas. Just be mindful if yours is bigger or larger to adjust when we're going through, right? So we've got our titanium white, our black, we need everything else, we're good. We're good to go. So let's take our Grumbacher's liquid clear while you guys are checking in. Take our Grumbacher's liquid clear, and it's probably about this far down, so there's only a little bit left in the jar. So even though it looks like I'm dunking in the entire brush, we're not. We're only really getting in the bottom 1/4 inch of the bristles, right? The very bottom. Then we're gonna take all this paint, we're gonna go very lightly, and then on the other side of the brush like that, turning it so we can dump off all this paint, right? Spread it as far as we can spread it. That's the name of this game, right? So take all that paint, and you should not need to go back in and get any extra paint because we have just enough on the brush right when we start, right? We're gonna spread that stuff out. If it's very heavy and very sticky initially, that's okay. Spread it further, push it with more pressure, right? It's all about the pressure that we're using and how much pressure, how much paint is on our brush or our canvas. We always talk about the 3 P's of paint with Josh. And the more that we spread this paint outward, the more it will become slippery, right? It's very sticky initially when it goes on. And then it becomes very slick as we get going. Now, no matter how many times we've done it, I've done it 2,100 times, right? Doesn't matter how many times you've done it. Always go back in and wipe off that excess paint off of our canvas, because you don't need all of that stuff, right? That will get rid of some of the sticky areas or the real heavy areas where you put it on initially and you couldn't just spread it out enough, right? And so we're taking a lot of force to remove, pushing heavily onto the canvas, leaving little bits of paper towels, okay, right? As long as they're not a ton, right? Still, I've left a couple bits of paper towel up there, you probably can't even tell, right? Now that we've wiped off our canvas, it's much more slippery and the brush will slide across it much easier, right? So, all depends on the right amount of base coat to your canvas, right? So, you guys, one more time, check in, let me know where you're watching from. We're gonna go through the colors that we're gonna use, and then I'm gonna come back and try to read some comments, okay? So we have our Madder Carmine from the Meaden brand. We have the Phthalo Green from our Bob Ross set, the Dioxazine Purple from the Gamlin set. Then we're gonna use probably our Ultramarine Blue from Meaden, our Alizarin Crimson from the Bob Ross set, the Midnight Black from the Bob Ross set, and this is actually Titanium White Master's Touch brand, right? Doesn't matter the brand, doesn't matter the color, literally, let's just follow along and we'll do something really cool, okay? We're gonna take our teal, which it's been a day or two since I've used my teal color, right? So there we go. Crack the skin on that guy so we got some fresh paint that we can dig into. Right, down in here, loading the brush, not very heavily. We don't need an extreme amount of gunk on the end of the brush. We're gonna come up here real high up in our sky because we're gonna have a lot of stuff happening. We're gonna put a little stripe of our Phthalo Green. Should be very simple and very easy. And in order to kind of reflect that down here, let's take another little bit of our Phthalo Green and we'll just put it right there, just wherever, literally. Doesn't matter. Let it spread. You can let them touch if you want to. I'm gonna leave a little bit of space in between that, right there. We plan on having different layers and different stuff. Now, what I wanna do is get a little bit of my blue paint, little, like one swipe of blue, okay? One swipe in between the teal and the crimson, because when you mix the teal and the crimson, they either go gray and it's not a nice look, right? So we'll put a little bit of blue in there. So same thing down here, we'll pop a little bit of blue in between. Then we're gonna go purple onto our brush, right? Because we're getting darker and darker. We can start blasting on that purple paint up here, leaving a little section for our crimson as well, right? So don't come all the way down, and then we'll launch in our crimson paint. But the reason that I'm doing it this way is because I don't want that phthalo green on my brush when I come into this Madder Carmine color, which is a very bright crimson color from the Meaden brand, and it stretches very far. very far, right? We can even take that color, push it up into the purple, and it will only accentuate these two colors if you blend them together. It's going to help make it look that much better, right? So there, we've got our stripe of pink, little teeny stripe of blue, more phthalo green down underneath here, right? So again, we're gonna take our pinkish color, throw it on top of the blue down here, let it spread down, and then maybe at the very, very, very bottom, which we probably won't even see by the time we get down there, but let's put some purple down. Take our purple, spread it up, mix it, intermix. So the only bare area that we have in the canvas is kind of right here in the middle, depending on how much you've blended your sky, right? Now, let's wash off this brush, because you gotta have a clean, dry brush. We're gonna do this next part. You guys, check in one more time. I'm telling you, this time I'm going to come back and look at where you are checking in from. So check in, check in, check in. I ask you to do it strategically to help the live reach more people, right? So check in, where are you watching from out there? Let's see. Ohio, Oklahoma, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Nebraska, Oklahoma again, Toronto, Georgia, Florida, Virginia, Norway, Arizona, I like it, Michigan, Memphis, Ontario. You got Florida, Pennsylvania. What's happening? Western Australia. The dining room table is where we're watching from. That's very cool. Now, let's grab a little bit of our titanium white onto a fan brush. Okay? It doesn't matter what size. I'm using like a medium size, quote unquote, because every brand has a different number on it, so it really doesn't matter. All right, we're gonna take a little bit of our titanium white. Not too much, because I don't need this one to be too big, and remember, we're gonna put something in front of it. So, let's get crazy and just go right into that green, pushing a little bit of paint onto it. And this is gonna be a more of a realistic sort of a scene than we're normally used to doing with all of our crazy big lines and stuff. And this is more like the recent storm that we had out there, right? That G4 storm everyone was trying to see. Fabulous. Get that little bit of greenish underneath. Right now, depending on how much paint I have, depends on how bright it is. So if I add a little bit of excess paint, I can kind of complete my line, grab it, and then it's much more of the same, right? If you don't have the same amount of paint, you're gonna have too many differences, right? We do want some differences. We don't need everything to be exactly the same, right? But you don't wanna have too many areas that are too different either, right? There we go, fabulous, you guys, isn't that great? All right, pull it down from the top, and you can take care of any little streaky bits or places where your brush kind of went overboard. All right, all the way down from the top, and that way you're not leaving a brush mark up in our darker area, okay? Now, depending on how hard you pull on this paint, you could streak it up and pull it wherever you want it to be, right? But what I want is a little gap in between, which is why we have that darker blue section back there. We're gonna wipe off or clean off, let's clean off our brush, because we've got too much of that teal paint in there, right? And if we're gonna go teal into the pink, it's gonna mess us up. So let's get a nice clean dry brush. Come back over here. A little bit of paint, because remember, we can always add more. And, oh goodness, what if we came right down through here? I don't wanna get too close. Look at the difference in the color though. Look at me just literally just pushing on, trying to keep a nice little crisp line at the bottom, right? What if we had a little bit of excess paint in that spot right there? What's gonna happen? It's gonna grow more, isn't it? It's gonna be amazing. So let's see what it looks like. As we get up here, we're gonna grab it and pull it, right? Based off of how hard that we pull it is gonna be how far you can get that paint to drag, right? How you can even extend it out to places where we weren't even there, okay? How far do you want that color to go up? It's all up to us. Get a little pinky hue out into this purpley area. Fabulous. Small little gap in between. That's exactly what the reference photo looked like that I was looking at. Man, that's fantastic, you guys, seriously. Now, we have to have a little gap in between, but that doesn't mean that the gap has to be so severe, right? What if we added a little bit of paint down in here, or over here, or wherever? Dabbed off our brush on paper towel, came in there again, and just extended it up a little bit. Bring it a little further, so they're almost touching a little more, pulling our brush away from it before we get too close to that crimsony area. That looks wicked cool, you guys. Wicked cool. Look at the colors overlapping too. Just barely, because we didn't over mix it. We didn't do it too much, right? Now, we're going to come in and mix up our Paint with Josh black mix, which you all know is a mixture of our black, our heavier crimson, the more thick crimson paint. This is much more of a thin consistency paint, that Meaden brand. And then our ultramarine blue from our Meaden set. We're gonna pull it over here, flatten it out till you get all this crazy dark color to mix together into one deep darkness that we call Paint with Josh Plaque. It's just a purplish black, so P-L-A-C-K. Not the, that's different plaque, you guys, different thing, okay? Now, let's come out here and we're gonna decide what we want our mountain to look like. Now, it's going to be difficult to see it if we don't project it up into that bright color because it's a very dark color that we're putting. So if we put it just down here, we're not gonna see our mountain. See what I mean? I did put some paint right there. So now I'm gonna have to connect onto this chunk, sometimes turning my blade almost vertical like this. You can see it now that it's in the color. Almost vertical, right? So it's dumping off that paint. I can come in here and scoop up the bottom stuff, which has more darkness. That we can climb up and up and up. And how far do you want to climb up into your auroras is totally up to you, right? The only thing we're worried about is this top edge. Is the edge crisp? Do you have any little things that are poking up out of there that you don't like? Because now's the time to take care of it and change it up, okay? All we're doing is scraping up the excess paint, bringing it towards the center so we have a little bit of darker color. And then we can go out with our brush and sort of shape what we want our mountain to look like. And if we're lucky, we'll pick up a little bit of that lighter color and you'll start to see some different things in your mountain, okay? So very first thing, you don't have to start all the way up at the peak, okay? Let's start around this side. We're gonna push it and then drag it outwards, okay? Whatever you think it should look like is what it's going to look like. Remember, it's not going to be the only thing there. We are going to put other things in front of this mountain. Let's come over here. We're gonna grab this guy, we're gonna pull it down and then flatten it off, right? You have to make it do that. It will not do it on its own. You have to turn the brush. You have to pull it that way. Put it up along this edge, right? Bounce along the top, slide it out to the side. Come grab right from where we gripped it, right? Our furthest point this side, where we took it like this and slid it this way. We're gonna grab it there. We're not going to grab it from the edge and then drag it across. Imagine that would cancel out what you just did, right? So we'll take our color over here, pull it off to the side. And like I said, we get a little bit of our aurora shining through. Fabulous, look at that, guys, excellent. Can you see the little mountain out there? Now, what we need to do is make up a snowy color paint, okay? So we're gonna take a little bit of our white paint, a good amount, a little bit of our blue paint, because the blue paint is gonna try to overtake that white paint, right? We need it to be very light blue in its color, but not that light blue. Let's kind of aim for like a summertime blue sky day color when you just look up that big old blue and just wonder, geez, how small am I in this little universe, right? Now we're gonna take our blade, we're gonna wipe it off nice and clean. We're gonna come over here, grab up a little bit of our titanium white, about twice as much as we grabbed the first time, and then about 1 to 2 very small little bits of that light blue paint. That way when we mix it up down here, we will have a very, very, very bright version of this color, right? We don't wanna come up and grab that color, otherwise we're going to make this color again. Okay, we want this white paint to be kind of tainted, a little bit further off in the distance, a little bit more faint, so we can decide how bright or how dark it becomes just by mixing in a little bit more of that very, very, very light blue paint. And even though that we now know it's been tainted twice with the blue, it's still very bright, right? Doesn't that look like one of the Easter Island big old rock heads out there? You guys got some gum gum? Huh? We're gonna come over here, take our light blue paint, kind of spread it out into a little runway that we can then scrape through, almost like an excavator, and dig out a little trench, attaching all that paint to our canvas. Now we're going to judge based on how much paint is right here. And you can even see there's a little roll out there, right? We're gonna judge, but we need to stay about that far away from actually pushing on the canvas. We don't want the canvas to dip inwards. We're not trying to touch it, and I'm not pushing on this blade at all. We're almost hovering with our brush, or with our blade, right? So you can even do it like this. You can come up there like that, attach it, and just let it float, right? We are helping it. We are changing our angle. The more and more and more we come down this way, the more we're flattening it out, versus up here where we're coming down much more at a steep angle, right? If you don't do it, guys, it will not do it itself. It will not just go, oh, that's how you wanted it done, right? You've got to do it. And you're going to do it one time and just nail it perfectly and go, oh my God, remember what I just did, brain? Brain, don't fail me now. Remember what I just did, please, so I can remember to do that again in the future, right? All it takes is that one time for it to work just right for you. Now, we're gonna go off onto our highlight side. I like doing our shadows first because you are then able to go and change your mind and cover over those with your highlight color, right? Versus some of the other instructors might do it highlights first, right? So we take our white paint, we've scooped up a little roll of it. It's not even as big as the one that we had over here, which means I can hover a little bit closer and if we get up here on the edge, just slide it down, okay? Now it dropped off a very big, very heavy chunk all in one place. I can then take the rest of the half of the paint, attach it to that chunk and move it, right? Then start dragging it. If you ever get a very large, heavy area, okay, you are in control of how much you smush said heavy area into a softer bit of paint to where it will start to break, right? You're the one making these decisions. You're the one making these angles. If you're not pulling down like this and you're not flattening off just like we did with our brush, right, it will not look right. It won't look the same, right? Because you're not doing it. The paint's not going to do it for you as much as we want it to. And just be like, oh, sweet, that worked, right? That may happen 1 or 2 or 10 times when you're painting throughout your painting journey, where something just happens automatically and then your brain goes, oh, what was that? How do I reproduce that look, okay? And that's when you jump up a level, okay? Now what we're gonna do in order to make this guy look really 3D looking, and we can decide how much of a little shadow we wanna keep behind that guy. It doesn't necessarily need a bit of blue shadow because it's so very small, right? But we can decide, what do we want? How 3D do we wanna make this guy? Do we wanna have, by dragging in the opposite direction, these ones are going this way, so this one is coming this way, right? Trying to lay on a ton of paint right there because it's going to want to mix with the blue if you push too hard, okay? So what we're doing is we're getting a large chunk, we're coming over here, and then we're deciding how far it goes up, how far it goes down, how much it mixes in, right? We have to curve it up into our little valley. If we want it to look 3D, we have to make it 3D, you guys. If you feel like maybe you got too much color, you can literally, just by going across it in the other direction, pull that blue to the other side, because we're in control. It's like a sequin pillow. You guys ever have those little things? Those little pillows where you could like swipe it one way and you get one color, and you swipe it the other way and you get a different color? That's what this paint is like, as long as you're not pushing too hard, right? Once you start pushing too hard, or leaving too many things, or losing sight of what the painting should, or what you're trying to achieve, then you should be in good shape. Don't push it too hard. Float it, float it, float it, float it. Bang, all the way down, right? How big do you want to make it? Now we've got this multiple sided thing because we didn't just go, or we didn't just have it all going in one direction, right? All up to us, every time, every single time, you guys. We're in control of where that light's coming down and hitting. Now, obviously, right, the light is coming down and hitting on this spot. For this painting in this area, it doesn't even have to be so straight, right? It doesn't have to be so shadowy. We can let it catch wherever it wants, right? Or we can come back and adjust and load over in different places so it's not just a straight line. We're literally making mountains, guys, however you want to do it. Just the more you get down, the more horizontal we're pulling. So we're going over here, they're very straight, very flat as you get down to the bottom of those mountains. And remember not to cover up everything, but on the flip side, you can have it as heavy as you want. Thank you so much, I appreciate that. You can have it as heavy as you want, right? Just try not to over cover everything. Don't try to cover every dark little spot in there, because those are the rocks that are just projecting up. They're crevices. And they're areas where the light just can't reach all the way down. And you don't have to cover everything. I wanted to lay it on a little bit heavier back there because that guy was so heavy, right? So all up to you guys, literally every single time. If this old guy looks familiar, it's because it's in my backyard, so to speak. It's about 3 hours away, but up there in Oregon, old Mount Hood, and it has become my most absolute favorite thing to paint. I love it. It's fabulous. I've hiked it. I haven't hiked in years, and I've hiked this mountain, and I'm telling you, it's awesome. Fabulous. Look at that. Soft, right? When you're taking a photo of a mountain, The top is going to be crisp, and then it's going to fade away because it can't take in everything, right? So what we're doing is softening that paint just by hovering over it, flicking it with 1 to 2 to literally, like Bob said, 3 hairs and some air. That way you're not moving it, right? We're not trying to brush it. That's why we're here close versus back here. If we were like this, we couldn't control our pressure and we may push too hard and then smear, right? So you're out there just chilling in the night. Very lightly dragging across and making it very, very, very soft is all we got to do, right? Very soft, you guys. God, I love Mount Hood so much. Now, we're going to switch from that very soft touch to the more extreme. But you can see my brush is angled out this way. It's not flat onto the canvas, okay? So I just want to hit it with just a corner, the back corner of the brush. So I'm not taking all the paint and using too many bristles and getting this too bright, okay? We're just using the back corner of the brush, tapping it out like we would some grass. Even then, we did not disturb too many of the details. We want to make sure that we make these guys extra soft down here, right? Because our next layer of paint needs to be a heavy layer, and we can't do a heavy layer of paint on top of this heavy layer. So that's the point of softening this area, right? I tell you, everything I've ever learned, everything I know, and the reasons why we're doing it. Not just like, okay, do this, because you're gonna come to a point where you're doing your painting, and you're gonna go, why did we have to do that? I don't know, and then you can mess it up, right? So I'm telling you, when we get to our next step, so if you just hang around just a minute or two more, and you can even see we're kind of tapping this guy out, out, tiny bits at a time, creating more land. We're creating more very, very, very faint details, right? Just by tapping out these little things. Might even look like the way that we do grass, right? So if I pick up a little bit more paint up here and get dangerous with it, I can grab a little bit more and drag it down and have another little thing, right? Another little bit. Maybe it's a drop down, maybe it's a cliff. Maybe, ooh, that actually looks cool. What if that was a little straighter, right? And then we did have a little cliff back there. Little things that you'll see and you'll pick up in different little areas. Now I'm gonna drop way down. There we go. Yeah, right? Make this guy all misty and foggy so we can't really tell what's going on. And then you're deciding what it is, or your viewer anyway is deciding, right? Because it's not up to us. It's we might paint something and have it. I might think that looks like a little I don't know, like a pathway up the mountain and then like a straight ledge, and someone else might look at it and go, what is that? Why is that there? You know what I mean? So it's not up to you to paint the painting or decide what everything is in our painting, because when you show it to somebody, they're gonna think whatever they are gonna think about it, right? It's not, which may not necessarily be what you are thinking. I get that all the time, like, oh, cool. It was like, oh, cool, whatever. And I was like, oh, that's not what that was, but I'm glad you saw that and likened it to something you've seen before, right? Very cool. Now, we've got all this light, misty area, and what we need to do is get rid of that and sort of project some dark little trees up into this thing and start pushing this mountain into the background, okay? So we're gonna use the same color paint that we were using before, because now all of this dark color is going to contrast off all that brightness. The brightness. It is ice cold in my studio right now. I have no idea why. It's literally 65 in here on the thermostat. I have the air conditioner set to 74 and it's still blowing like it's a summer day. And I'm over here shivering, but I'm not putting my sweater on and getting paint on that thing. So I will continue to, if you hear my teeth chattering, that's the reason why. Because I'm getting blasted with Arctic air. Literally, I'm feeling our scene, honestly. Okay, now what we're gonna do is we're gonna switch to the Paint with Josh fan brush. Right, the old fan brush is brand new, actually. Very soft, my brushes, compared to your normal hog hair bristle brush, which is what you would normally use for an oil painting. The Paint with Josh brushes are a synthetic hog hair because the company is very big on no cruelty, you know what I mean? So what we're going to do is, with this very sharp brush, almost like a hatchet blade, right, we're going to tap against it and make a little line down. We're going to come next to it, make another little line down, and next to it, make another little line. That's where you want to actually be, right? You want them to almost be touching and having little tip tops popping out of them, getting smaller and smaller and smaller. That way, you can pick another little peaky area up here, drop down our new little guy, and try to make sure that they're not all the same height. And they're not all the same thickness and all. Oh, thank you, air conditioner, for turning off. My goodness. My goodness, it's cold in here. Now, we're gonna come We're literally painting an Arctic scene, and I'm feeling the same temperatures right here. I should have left that sweater on. All we're really doing is popping up every so often, making sure that it's not the same height. We don't have the same peaks. It's almost like a little heartbeat monitor, right? Except we're trying to make it different, a little different each time. We are not going to project up into all of that bright snow. Okay, that is going to hurt these trees if you grab too much of that bright snow back there. You can get as close as you want, but I'm telling you, you start bringing that stuff down and it's gonna make your trees look very, they're different. It's gonna change their color up too much more than what we are needing anyway. Now that we're beyond the snow, we can come up here, launch it, and then we also need to fill in. If we're gonna come way up high up here, we have to fill in that same paint so we're down here. You don't wanna have all this excess be empty. Right, so we'll come down there, tap it, tap it, tap it. Literally doesn't matter what the brush looks like. We're just trying to get the darkness to cover up the mistiness below. Okay, we can always go back and add our mist below. But just like that, now we have our little forest back there that's pushing back 10 tons of mountainous rock. Okay, so we'll take our brush, same brush we've been using, haven't cleaned it, barely even dabbed it on a paper towel, if I did or not, I can't remember. We're gonna drag up to the top and then we're gonna pull away before we start flicking into our snow. If we go like this and continue to go, it's gonna look like our auroras back there, okay? So we do not wanna go too tall up there. What an Oregonian scene. Like literally on that G4 storm day, I was like, my God, I wish I was at Mount Hood because this is exactly what it would have looked like on that storm day. It was a perfect clear sky above Mount Hood. Above me and Eugene, clouds for the entire storm. Literally could not get a clear view of the sky on that night. But up in Mount Hood, no clouds on the radar, bro. It would have been so great. So what we're gonna do now is soften down our next layer of trees, right? We did our thick, crazy mountainous snow, and we had to soften it. Now we've done our thick, crazy, dark trees, so we need to soften them. If we want to have anything else underneath them, they need to become soft as well. So instead of tapping it out, going down and down like a clock with our mountain, right? Tapping this guy down, then going off the other side on our blue side, we're just gonna go up and down vertically, okay? Doesn't mean that they're all going to be straight across, right? We're not painting Buckingham Palace out here, okay? We're gonna tap down, stop. And all we're literally doing is using the brush at an angle, letting the bristles bounce into it, removing, bouncing in a little bit lower, removing, a little bit lower, a little bit lower, a little bit lower. That's how you're gonna create your misty effect. We're gonna go back and brighten it so we can see it, but at first I wanna make this paint a little softer, which is all it is. So, even though it may look at some points like we're doing it at random, we have a lot of experience on how to do it and how to do it quickly, okay? So, don't liken what yours looks like or how fast you are compared to somebody else, okay? Everybody's different. Speed-wise, talent-wise, everybody's different. So, don't worry, it's not a judging thing, right? It's not a competition. That's the best part about art. It's definitely not a competition. Now, we're gonna come over here, we're gonna grab a little bit of our titanium white onto our fan brush, just like we had made our little guys up here. And what I wanna do is make a soft little cloudy type of thing because we have all of our dark paint, right? We need to have now a light area to then have something else. So, I come out here and just literally, I'm holding it like this so I can spin it back and forth in between my fingers, right? So as we go, eventually we're gonna start running out of paint, so we have to spin the brush. Come up a little higher, down a little lower, up a little higher, down a little, up a little higher, up a little higher, right? Wherever you want it to be. And don't have too much paint out there, right? Little bit. Because you can either do the exact same thing and tap in and go down and bring some of that light up and down and up and down. But if you don't hit it hard enough, your little thing won't go away. In any case, you have to come back in and start to mix it. So you can skip that whole thing and start to mix it up already, kind of going up towards our trees and down and up and down and up and down and up and down, like you're mixing up chocolate milk in the glass, right? Mixing it up real hard. Where the syrup's at the bottom, we can barely get any more, and we're trying to just mix it, stir it up hard, right? Now, the more that we mix it, the more this white paint will go away. So you're in control of what it looks like, how bright it is, how much you mix it, right? You can transition it back up into the trees, pull away before you get to your mountainous, snowy region. And now we have a little bit of mystery. How tall are those trees? How far away are they in the distance, right? So what we're going to do on this one, guys, we're gonna come down over here. We're gonna take a little bit of our white paint, and that's a fair amount that I pulled down onto the brush. But as you can see, it's not gunky. It's not chunky. It's not gunky. And you guys are gonna check in one more time and tell me where you're watching from out there, because I love yous all so much. Look at that. We don't need too much paint on the brush, right? Never too much. Cosmic Lighthouse over there on YouTube managing it for us. I wonder if my mom is watching. I'm so nervous today, guys, because my mom said she was going to watch the show. And I'm like, oh, God, Josh, please, somebody, you know what I mean? Like, my mother might be watching, so you guys know. Anybody out there would be nervous. Now, let's get in here. We're gonna now that I'm thinking about it, it's all I can think about. Now we're gonna come over here. We're gonna take our white paint. We're gonna start launching down a little snowy little meadow back there. So we're kind of pulling it and making it flatter and flatter and flatter. Getting a little lower, a little lower, a little lower. Right? We don't want to see everything out there. If we can see everything, if we can see where the white snow meets our trees, or if we can see too many details or things too brightly, then it's going to make them look too close. Right? The more that we get towards us, the brighter we can get, of course, but we want to have that mysteriousness. You can kind of mix it up and then kind of pull it down, so you have a little bit of both. You got your mysteriousness, but you also have this little thing of land out there just looking fabulous. Dudes, I might want to pop another little bit of forest in front of this guy and make it very much like our other Mountain Hood painting, but just northern lightsy and go in the other direction. And I can do that because I'm the one painting it, right? So once we've created our very small little valley in the background, okay, what I then want to do is mix up a ton more of our dark paint, because we're gonna need a lot more of them trees done out there, right? At least one more section. So we'll pop that guy in. We got our blue, crimson, and black mix. We're gonna flatten them down, flatten them down, flatten them down. I'm gonna just double check and make sure. Is mom watching is the question. Let's see, this one I believe is 259, I'm pretty sure. Pretty sure if you go check that one out, do 259 for you. Okay. It's a 20 by 20 inch perfect square, and it's gonna look gorgeous wherever you put it. So we're gonna wiggle down onto that darker paint. Right? We don't need to overfill the brush, and because I haven't cleaned the brush, it's getting further and further and further down here towards the squeezy bit. What is this piece called again, guys? I forget this piece. What's this piece called? Anybody out there know? Anybody out there? Because by the time we get done in the art world, it's going to be known as the squeezy bit. And what I want to do is I want to make at least one little tree out here have a little bit of detail. Okay, so we're going to come out there, we're going to pop in our little trees where we want them to be. Doesn't even have to be too big, right? That's the whole thing. We're painting stuff at a distance. Nothing out there has to be too large. The bigger it is, the closer it brings us, right? Sometimes we don't want to be so stinking close. We want to be further away. We want to see it further away, okay? Now, what we're going to do is sort of seal in that little meadow back there by tapping in. Again, go up and down and up and down. We're filling all this darkness in up into that lighter area, which is the reason why we put the mistiness back there, right, down into here. And now we don't know how tall this is, how far away those little trees are. This, that, and the other. This, that, or the other, right? We come up, down, up into the light, down, right? So you have this little thing, back and forth down there, and again, more paint, more paint, more paint. You want to go up taller? Make sure it stays dark across all that brightness, because if it doesn't, and it starts becoming a lighter color, it's going to not project the distance that we need it to, right? So, make it dark, and man, it looks cool. God, we might actually have to make a bigger one over here too, just because I want to see a bigger guy. Right there. Maybe this is the big old granddaddy of all the trees out there in the forest. Again, all we do is push a little bit harder and start rocking back and forth as we're coming down, right? We don't want to have too many little things out there, have too many details, because that's going to take away the details that we can put in our foreground, right? if we have too many chunky bits and stuff and things back there. Actually, that's gonna look fabulous. Leave that little gap right here, because by the time that we mix up our little misty bit, it may look like our little guy going wrap around. That's fantastic, you guys. So, you guys, one more time, check in. Let me know where you're watching from out there. In the night. Absolutely. It's touched your soul. I appreciate that. Oh my goodness, my mom is here. Mom is here, guys. She's watching over on the tubes over there. And thank you, Mom, for being here. You're making me extremely nervous. But I'm going to forget about that. I'm a professional. I'm gonna forget about that. Forget about my surroundings and just do my job. Thank you, Mom, for being here, though. Seriously. So we're going to tap in. Now, because we've already got that white paint onto our brush, our misty area back here should show a little bit easier because we've got all that paint back there, right? So if we're tapping in again, trying to create some mist, some mystery, some sort of something at the base of these guys, because you never really want to be able to tell where everything lives, okay? As we wrap it around. You can even say, is it a bank of fog back there in between the trees, or is it a little snowy meadow? Again, that's up to whoever is looking at it, because somebody will see a bank of foggy mist, somebody will see a little snowy meadow where you can go take a tubing, take a little tube ride, go down the old hill back there. Right? That's the best part about it. It's not up to us to figure out what, it's up to them, it's up to who's ever looking at it to figure out what they are in fact looking at, you guys. Now, that looks pretty cool. One thing I want to do, I can show you too right here. Check this out. We can even make another little bit of distance. Watch this. We get a little bit of white. Come back here. We're very shallow, very small strokies, right? Out there, getting further and further this way. We'll get a little taller. We start to mix it back and forward. Let it grow down. Right? We just don't want it to grow too far, because you can take a whole bit of snow off of our hill over here and crisscross in front of other little hill back there and push it into the distance, right? How much? Or come down and make a little U shape, and now we've got a little valley in there or whatever, right? Because it's up to us every time that we go to do it, and we can do it differently, right? This one doesn't look anything like the other one now because we decided to make a change, do something weird and odd, and make sure that not everyone out there in the world can see every single thing perfectly, because then they will decide what they want to see, right? So they will choose when they look at your painting. You won't have to tell them what it is. They can look at it and decide for their own selves. And that's what I literally, anytime I've ever tried to go, oh man, like check out this thing, I tried to make it look like that. Someone will say, oh, it looks like this, you know what I mean? Or, oh, hey, that looks like this. And I go, oh, it's not what it was supposed to look like, but thank you, I appreciate you, you know what I mean? I appreciate you saying that, but that's not what I meant to paint. So, not up to us, it's up to them, what they see, okay? Now, how far do we come down in the old foreground? How much distance is in between us and these trees right here? Do we put in another layer of trees back here and then create our final bit of foreground out of that, right? Everything, guys, is literally up to us and whatever we decide to do each time that we go to paint something. Absolutely fabulous. Okay, now, we have to put something high enough, right, to get in front of these guys just a little, right? If not, I mean, just up into maybe one of the misty parts if you wanted to keep it down low. But let's say we're down here at the base. Now we're standing on the snow, and we've got this beautiful, I don't want to put it right in the middle, so let's go right here, and then we're going to pull it down, right? What determines, right, what makes this tree right here look like he's in front of all the trees in the background? And you can't say color, because it's the same dark color that we've been using and then mixing with our little white misty stuff. So you can't say it's a darker color. So what is it about this tree that makes him look like he's down here, sat in the front, right there, ready for class early, you know what I mean? Just right, got the best spot right up in the front. What makes him closest to us? What about him? You tell me, because it's not up to me. You guys are supposed to be the ones learning, right? So what is it? Sits lower, right? Its butt is sitting down here at the bottom. It's down here at the base, right? Its boot is right down there. So that means that if we come down in here and kind of pull off on one side and pull off on the other side, doesn't matter, even if it was only this tall, right? Not taller than the back, but only this tall. As long as we sit down a little bit further, then it's going to be easier to tell where everything is supposed to be. Now, I would take a little bit of our white paint, start to mix it in. See how we're picking up some of that pinky reflection of our northern lights by the time we get down here. And that all depends on how much paint I put on the canvas. I'm changing my direction also like a clock. We went out this way, then back to the same spot, down a little further, back to the same spot, down, back, down, just like we're clicking our clock around is gonna make it look more perspectively right. As far as even going literally vertical, right? And then going off in the other direction if you wanted to. We're gonna change that, but showing you literally how to make it round. Think about it like a clock, all the way around, right? Each one should be kind of starting from wherever you're pulling from, going off in the other direction. Then you can decide, you know what, maybe I want to have something else over here that's going to be sitting down. It's going to connect on to our little guy right here. And we can drag it up, and then we'll know exactly where to place our next little tree, or at least have a little bit of something underneath. And isn't that cool? Isn't it literally cool? You get to decide what's going on. You get to pick how many little things, how many trees, how many bits of stuff and different things can you put in, right? Because it's all up to you. How close are they? How far away are they, right? What if we wanted another little guy right there, be a little taller, but also not as small, because we know, even though he's sitting on the exact same level, okay, by the time that we pull it out, our brush is gonna remove some of this bottom stuff and push him off into the distance. All I want is a couple little bits, a couple little things, a couple little imperfections on my tree that are poking out in different areas, right? Little bits, little things with all this light color behind it, that's gonna help all that dark color stand out, right? The more we go down, the more we push in, right? Now they might look like now that they're sitting on the same level, okay? But if we get sneaky and we pull them up a little higher, then we go down to a lower level and then up a little higher again. We're gonna make it first look further away. Second, look more realistic and more round, because we're not just swiping across the bottom, right? And then we're controlling how much of this darkness is coming out by the pressure on our brush. If we push on it hard, we're gonna pull all that dark paint out. So why not grab a little bit of white while it's still dark? And now we're gonna over mix this white, because obviously we can't have bright white snow on the shadow side of our tree. But in order to get rid of that dark shadow, we're going to over mix it and then very lightly pull out the very smallest remaining bit of shadow back there to then create that darker paint, right? So it's not too dark. You are in control every time you guys go to do something, right? It's up to you what you are going to do and how it's going to look, right? If I really want to make it bright, goodness sake, Josh. There we go. My word. I'm gonna have to put a bush over that area just because it got so insanely bright, right? And then I can determine how far, how tight to pull it up underneath that little guy, right? How much, because we have to have something going off our bright side. Right? There we go. A little something over there. And then we got our shadow side, right? Very simple, very easy. Now, let's come back in. We do need to mix up one more little chunk of our black mixture, our black paint, right? So we'll take our black, our crimson, our blue, equal parts, throw them together, mush them down flat, scrape them up like pancakes on a griddle, flip it over, mush it down flat again, right? There we go. 1, 2 times maybe, and then leave it in a little Hershey's Kiss pile, so it's got some dimension, some body in that pile. Then we'll be able to run our brush through a very heavy amount of paint, which is exactly what we want. We want to be able to run it through a large amount versus, you know how we pull out when we were doing our sky, and we pull the brush and it gets very thin down here? This is not enough paint to load the brush from. This giant pile is enough paint, right? Because it's got some body off of that thing. So we can almost start at the top of the pile, wiggle it down, and then it's loaded. Look, you can even see it. It's loaded like a little ridge out there on the brush, right on the end, right? That's kind of how much paint you need, guys, seriously. When I started painting, I would do my trees, and now, knowing what I know now, they didn't have enough paint, but I didn't know that, right? I was like, why doesn't it work? And so I had to, you know, when I was watching Bob, finally make this realization that I needed to use a lot more paint, right? It wasn't just me. Check this out too. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this right here. Look at this. Look at this. What if I just go connect that thicker paint back onto him again, right? So now he's sat up here in the front next to his little buddy, right? All because of how and where he's sitting, or where we're allowing people to see where he sits anyway, right? My bright paint back, a little bit of shadow off the backside. Boom, 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 right? We're in control. And as you can see, he's one little just one brush handle size difference, click of a downward thing. That's gonna make him look a little closer. And the only reason we did that is because I didn't want to put our big guy there and then have such a gap in between. And so we're gonna come over here. Okay, we're gonna get onto this side. We're gonna go up a little higher. We do not have to go higher than the mountain necessarily, okay? Doesn't always have to be that way, as long as you can sit him down much further than everywhere else. Now, does this guy have a tree trunk? Does he not? It's up to us. How much do we want to show, right? These bigger ones give us a chance to push a little harder on the bristles, to pop out a little bit bigger of a branch, maybe have something a little sharper, something a little more indistinct, or a little bit more distinct back there, right? Now, you would never see this tree if you didn't have any of that light color, right? We need those bright areas. So we make a big old U down there and just kind of fill it up a little bit, little bit, little bit, right? What do you think it looks like? Fill in that center area at least a little, right? You have to at least have that center trunk area be dark and filled. And then how far do you want your little branches to come out? Do you need them to come out all the way? Because you don't have to. It's totally up to you. How far do they come down? Do we want these guys to intersect? Do we want a trunk? Do we not? Right? We get to make those decisions as we're doing it. That's the fun part about it, right? We get to decide as we're going and go, you know what? I want it to look like this, or I want it to look like that, or this or that. Go back. Now I can see, okay, we need a couple little bits out there, one more little space in there just to fill in the empty gaps or the openings where I can see through too much, right? I like my trees to be nice and full. This one is like literally the one that the Griswolds are gonna go out and grab, right? And take back on the top of their car. Nice and full tree, okay? They don't have to be enormous, but they have to be filled in, and that way they stand out as being very close to us, right? So, yeah! Let me know what you think about this one as we're going. And then start coming up with a title for this painting, and my Arctic air conditioner just turned back on. Here we go, just very lightly pulling it out. Then, if anything, dab off the brush, grab this bright paint, drag it backwards, right? Dab it off again. Because as soon as you come into the dark paint, it's going to want to leave a dark spot out there, right? We don't want that to happen, but we do need to have that very slight discoloration in between our snow, right? So we have those little shadows and different things. You can see it's kind of darkened it a touch, which is why we come back in with our white. And we let that guy blend in, and we don't want to let it go too far back to the edge. Remember, we got to have some shadows back there behind our tree. So, pop it out, push on it, mush on it, make it as bright or as dark, as many little humps, as many bumps, as many bright areas, as many highlights or areas, right? We just don't want to make it all the same. We make it all the same, and look, just because I don't want to get another brush dirty, let's pop in this weird looking little thing out there, just with our fan brush. A couple little bits, little things hanging off it. Don't ask, I'm not an herbologist, I don't know what the plant is, but it is now there. Pop down, living amongst my little trees back there, right? Making it a little bit harder to see the base, pulling it out there. Gorgeous, right? I'm in control, you guys, of what's going on, what's happening, what it looks like, how big, how dark. It's all up to me every time, seriously. Now, let's get over here, and we're gonna throw some highlights on these little beauties. And I think we'll be all you guys. So you can grab this one if you go into pwj.info, right? Fabulous. pwj.info, just type that in, you'll be ready to rock and ready to roll. Man, that's cool. That is cool, dudes. Let's see. Pancakes once a year, I feel that. I feel it. I don't eat pancakes as often. How you doing, Anthony, over there? Anthony from Jersey over there, New York. Oh my goodness, don't get it confused. You don't want to confuse a New Yorker with a New Jerseyer or a whatever. I wish I had spent some time on that side of the country growing up. Maybe I might know a little bit more of what I'm talking about, just a little bit. But then it wouldn't be as funny. It wouldn't be as funny. So, you guys let me know what we're going to call this little painting out there, right? You are in control of naming it, especially if you grab it during the live show. You get to come up with the title forever. Right? And I'm going to show you something very cool. We're going to take blue, we're going to take white over that dark black mix, that purplish blackish mix. And it's going to make the most insane little tree you've ever seen. Okay? We need to make sure that our white paint is blue on this brush. Okay, so we're dabbing it in, and since we mixed our liquid white with the blue, it's made the blue less heavy in its consistency, much lighter of a paint, okay? Remember, it's a little bit darker. It could be exactly the same, but I like them a little darker up here in the front, and we're just gonna very lightly tap on the smallest little bits, the teensiest little taps, and make sure we're leaving things in between. Now, Mom, are you still here? Oh my God, guys, I was about to bring, Mom, I'm throwing myself under the bus right now, because I always say in the live shows, and you guys that watch me often know that I say this, okay, and I can't believe I'm gonna say this while my mom is watching, and maybe she'll disagree, and maybe she'll remember like I did, and confirm the story that I've been telling, okay? So, I always liken our highlights to Christmas lights, right? And I always say, Mom, I'm so sorry that you're watching this right now, but I always say that when I was growing up, right, if you had a gap in your Christmas tree, right, where there was a big hole or there was something, right, my mom would always make me turn the Christmas tree around so you couldn't see the hole, you couldn't see into that trunky area, right? So Mom could confirm or deny, but that's what I remember, is if I had, we had laid out the tree, it always had to be moved because there was a gap, there was a, too big of a hole. But that's what we want to leave in these little guys. And then we liken them like our Christmas lights, right? Imagine if you, gave your kid all the Christmas lights and you said wrap the tree around, and they did them all too tightly or too close together, right? We don't want to have them too close together, because then with our paints here and our highlights, we will not be able to tell the difference on what is what. We'll have too much of a mush, right? So think about them like Christmas lights, and it's going to make sense as we go. But Ma, no gaps allowed. See, she just confirmed what I had been saying to you guys this whole time, okay? That if there was a gap, you must turn the gap, or at least fill it with a giant, like, Christmas ball or something, you know what I mean? Like, fill it. There cannot be any gaps, right? We want the gaps, but also, when we liken them to Christmas lights, it's because we're gonna wrap them around like this, and as I do it with the white is when you're really gonna be able to tell. So we're gonna wash off our brush. That's so funny. Thank you, Mom, for being here and confirming that we did in fact get yelled at as kids if you did not do the Christmas tree lights correct, or if you put the tree in an area where you were showing the opening. And I'm thankful for that, because I thought I might have been remembering it incorrectly, but nope, I was right. Just like me, I tell Bailey, I'm like, no, not like that. Like, spread the lights apart so they're not all jumbled up together. Put a ball right there, because there's a big old gap. And where do you think I got it from? My mom. That's exactly where it came from. So let's take I need to get a little bit more of my blue paint, okay? And anyone out there, is your guys' mom like my mom, where you would want to, where she would need you to, adjust the tree literally 3 inches? What am I doing? Why am I getting blue back on the brush? I'm all discombobulated now. Told you I was nervous. Mom was watching. We need our liquid white and our titanium white now. Right? But anyone else's mom out there used to make them turn them, like, literally, like, rotate it this much. Just one little, okay, now it's good. Like, seriously? Anyone else out there, or was it just me? That's fine if it was just me. I just want to know. And we're going to come over here, we're going to tap very lightly. And as we start tapping these little guys on, very small little touches, little teeny tiny little things, right? And then we're going to start likening them to our Christmas lights. And as we start tapping them, and we're lining it up, and we're lining it up, 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 right? The more that we line it up, come across our little center area, more it looks like a little tree out there. Now, if you get too far over into your blue area, one's really going to stand out. So you can literally get in there and tap. And how far do you want your brightness, or your little brighter areas, to deposit? Right? We're leaving spaces in between because you got to be able to hang a Christmas ball off of there. Right? You got to be able to reach in and touch something when you're there. Okay. Remember, if you go too far over past center, it looks a little strange. So don't make it a straight line. Okay. Very cool. Now that very top bit, if you ever drop off too much paint up here, you just straighten it up, make it a little sharper on the top. Right? You can even connect it. Little bits. You can pop out little branches that weren't even there. Just don't make them all the same. Because if you make them all the same, you are going to be the one that doesn't like it, not me. You're going to send it to me, and I'm going to go, man, that looks great. Good job. You know, you did this, you did that. Great colors, this, that, and that. But you're going to look at it and go, but I don't like that one bit, right? And they don't even all have to have anything on. You don't even have to start the paint at the top. Look at that. Seriously. Couple little bits, right? Don't crisscross too far. Crisscross too far, it's not gonna be good. But make it so it's not just a straight line down the middle, right? Perfection. Now you guys gotta start coming up with titles for this one. And remember, you can get it if you go to pwj.info is the one place. And remember, when you get there, it's not gonna look like this, right? We don't have the photo taken yet. So it'll just be a little thumbnail out there. And you can grab it during the live show and then come back and tell us what you want it to be titled. That's the incentive about getting them during the live show, is that you can tell us what it is. Boom, boom, Dawn of the North. I like that, guys. I like it. Boom, boom, boom. You guys are awesome. Awesome. Dude, that's looking so good, isn't it? Now, we got our one big monster tree to do. Now, on a big tree like this, okay, you can't very well do the whole tree in one brush load most times. And it's because we use a much smaller brush to do the highlighting than we do to make the actual shadowy shape. That way, because inevitably, right, we're going to make a mistake. We're going to push too hard. We're going to drop off too much paint. We're going to do something. We're humans. We're going to make a mistake, right? And if we do it with a smaller brush, it's going to be less noticeable and more manageable to fix, right? If we're doing it with a smaller brush versus the same size brush that we use to make the tree itself. Now you can see, because I've done thousands of these trees, literally, that I know how hard to push it in, how hard to angle it, because remember, we're turning the brush like that and we're hitting it. And the harder I push, the more white I'm going to access. The less I push, I'm just dropping off that dark paint that we picked up right here, right? So wipe off our brush, nice and clean. Okay, you don't have to actually clean it, just wipe off that excess paint. Come back in here for our last little touches. Make sure it climbs up the sides of the bristles, but not all the way, because the shape is created by the paint that climbs up the side and not the tip of the bristles, okay? We come back over here and again, start leaving little spaces, little gaps, but if you look, they're lining up like Christmas light strands, right? It's gonna make it look more natural if you do them like that, and you're kind of lining them up. So you're going, whoop, that's a little bit too severe and too steep, so I'm gonna change the angle right there a little bit, just like that. Wrapping them around, letting it get darker and darker and darker. Doesn't have to be a straight line down the thing, right? We can pop out a couple little guys, just so it's different, okay? And tell me that doesn't look like just the world's most awesomest little Christmas tree, right? I would go grab that one and put it in my house if it was me. If it was me, right? Great tip. The painting soul sugar. My goodness, thank you for making me look like I could take care of myself in front of my mom. I appreciate whoever got this one. Unless it's mom. Oh my goodness, is it mom? we gotta double check, because this could be embarrassing. This could be embarrassing if it's mom. Let's see. And you guys will hear if I go, oh. Let's see. Okay, so it's not mom, thank goodness. Not that. Didn't mean it like that. I love you, mom. Mom just got the one from yesterday, that cabin one, or 2 days ago. But it's always funny, like, yeah, it's only to my mom. You know what I mean? Like, I still love you though, Mom. I love you so much. So, Thomas, my guy, you got to come tell us who you are. You got to confirm with me, right? With the last two of your zip has to match what's on the order. That one came out absolutely fantastic. We're gonna put a couple little highlights on our last little touch right here, right? And again, we don't want to cover everything. So even if I'm using a fan brush to make this weird thing, I'm trying not to cover all of the dark. Because if we cover all of the dark, right, then we're going to not have any depth. It will just be this flat thing, right? So, looks amazing. Thank you. I appreciate you guys. So now you guys got to start coming up with a title for this one, okay? Let me know what you think the title might be for this painting. Whatever you think you would want to call it, right? You let us know because I think it's Tom. Yeah, Thomas or Tom has to now choose the title, right? He's got to choose the title. Man, that's a cool one, guys. That is cool looking. That was the title you pinned? Okay, Christina. So you got to, because I didn't see, was his name Tom on his screen name? Beacon of God. I like that. Sometimes it's hard to go back and find all those pins, man. Cosmic Lighthouse, isn't it? Cosmic, doesn't this look kind of like how it looked over where you live? I don't want to give away, you know what I mean? Like, no, not trying to. But didn't it look that kind of where you live? Very similar with the greeny to the pinky colors, which are always my favesies, man. I want one more. There, just to clean. That was one spot I kept looking at the entire time, and I'm like, that dip inwards irritates me. So now I like it a lot better. Very cool. So if you guys can pin the thing, or Thomas, Dawn of the North. So Tom, just give me the last two digits of your zip code. Like mine, for me, it would be 02, right? Would be my deal. And then we can confirm, and then I will title it the title that you said. All right, so that's our guy. So what was the title one more time, guys? I know I'm terrible, mods. Dawn of the North. I like that. That's a good title, guys. That's a good title right there. So, Dawn of the North. Excellent. And, yeah, because I'm going to go put the birds and everything on there, so don't worry. We'll put the bird family, and we'll sign it and do all that stuff. And then, because this one found a new home, I am going to come back and do a second show. But I've got to go home and eat dinner with Bailey and stuff. Well, she's probably already eaten. I'm going to eat the scraps of whatever Bailey left me when I get down there. 2157, guys, right? Is that it? 2,158. I'm literally looking at it. It's 57. I'm literally, thank you, mods. I'm sure that the mods were quick to answer my question. But usually Cosmic too, because she knows that I'm going to forget what it is right at this moment. Usually has it up there. But I'm literally looking at that order over here. We're calling it Dawn of the North again. One more time. One more time. This guy, I know, seriously. One more time. I feel so bad, guys. My brain works differently compared to most people, okay? Waiting for the pin. Dawn of the North. Thank you, Split Rock. Dawn. That's cool. Of the North. In the night. Fabulous. Okay, so this was painted on 11/22/2022. We're all gonna go to paint with. Man, just stop watching me, right? Stop. It makes me nervous. Quit it. Right? We're gonna check out everything you want to see right there, right? Super easily. Look at this, you guys. Fabulous. The colors, the realisticness, the Mount Hoodness of this painting. Oh, it's fantastic. My goodness, my mom was here. My goodness gracious. Should have added a Bigfoot walking through. That is something that you can do when you go to do your paintings, right? Look at the heavy tree, like that snowfall. Oh, it's one of my best trees ever right here, seriously. Sometimes trees are they're little minks is what they are, because sometimes they can be nice and just super nice to you, and then sometimes they can be very difficult to paint. So they are sometimes the bane of my existence trying to paint these trees when You know what I mean? If you just change the angle of your hand. That's what was happening over here, right? So this is a good example for you, all you guys, right? See these things right here? They kept coming off the brush the same shape, the same shape, the same shape. And I'm looking at it as I'm going down, going, that's not right, that's not right. Stop, stop. So I basically took my hand away, right? I said, okay, I got the same brush. I've already made these guys. So it should be doing the same thing, right? But because it's over here on the side, give me 1 second. I'm gonna do the little puzzle thing on TikTok real quick. There we go. Because it's over here on the side and it's not right here next to me, right? My body and my hand wasn't in the correct space, the correct angle to do it. Because it was over here, I needed to turn my hand a little bit more before I hit it, which is exactly how I have it in here, right? But because I'm standing out here and I'm smacking it this way, it's not making that, and I just needed to turn and hit it from a different angle, right? So it's a very cool lesson on just how the angle can change what you're doing out there if you're not hitting it correctly and you're not in the right spot, and how we're moving, right? We're gonna, when we do things, depending on which side you stand on, you're gonna be a little closer on one side or the other, and it's gonna change as you go. So perfect example of how that can happen right in a live show, and then how you can catch it, adjust, and then finish it. You know what I mean? Very cool. Yes! Very cool. So, Thomas, my guy, let's do a light party if Mom's still here. In any case, we're gonna do a light party anyway. But I don't think Mom's ever seen a Paint with Josh light party before. So let's do a light party. I'm going to give you your official flash warning, okay? That means that we are going to flash all sorts of crazy lights and such at our canvas, okay? It's going to be a little intense for people that are sensitive to that kind of stuff, right? So, come out here and just go, caw-caw. You gotta make the old birdie signature sound if you're gonna paint them up there. Very neat. So, this is again your flash warning. The screen is going to go mad, right? If you're sensitive to that, turn away, do not look until I give you the verbal okay to turn back, okay? Now, if you are going to stay and watch the light party, I need you to type in the words, I'm ready, and then hit send, okay? And that means, as soon as I start seeing enough I'm readies, that we're gonna hit the old light party. Now, when we do the light party, one thing I need you to do is just tell me what flashes for you the most. The snow, the mountain, the trees, the northern lights, and we're gonna get it going, guys, in 3, 2, 1, light party! So, what's catching your attention the most? What's grabbing your eye? What is it about the paint? Is it the lights, the snow? Are the birds moving? Are they flapping in the sky? Tell me what it is that's catching your attention. We got the mountains, the trees, the mountains, mostly the mountains, right? Because they're so solidly covered in that bright white paint. And they tend to stand out and look amazing. So we're back to normal lighting conditions, folks, if you want to turn around and look at it again. And I want to thank our grabber, Thomas. You are amazing, my friend. We got to do a wicked cool light party. I am going to go and run and go home and eat, and then I'm going to come back and we'll do a second show on a little bit bigger of a canvas, and I'm still undecided on what I'm going to do on that. I was thinking about kind of like Northern Lights-ish, but an ocean scene, because you guys know me, I'm addicted to the ocean, and I just love it. So, we'll decide by the time we come back. Everybody who's watching over on the tubes, can't wait to see your version of this painting, so send it in to me when you get done, either through Facebook or Instagram or wherever, at official Paint with Josh over on the book, or at Paint with Josh K over on the gram. It's also Paint with Josh K on TikTok, so if you're not already following me on TikTok, make sure you give me the follow, because you guys know how fast my outro is. We're just done and gone. So send me in your versions. I can't wait to see them, and until I see you guys again next time, take care. Have the rest of a good day. And my goodness. What a painting, you guys. What a painting that one turned out to be. Can we hit the button? There.